Alright guys, so we're going to show you guys a little unboxing of what we got. We're going to be installing the Nardi wheel today with a quick release setup on my 1993 Mazda Miata. So we're just going to show you guys, a little walkthrough of how we do that. Show you guys the wheel. That's the Nardi wheel right there. Got your made in Italy. Pretty clean. So this one's a Nardi Classic. I got the 330mm one. So I mean, it's whatever your preference is, but this is the one I felt more comfortable with. So that's the wheel. And this is a quick release setup. I believe this is a 2.0 version. I got the all black with the titanium ring around it. So got that one. And then the short hub. The part number, if you need it for your Miata, is SRK-160H. So the short hub. And for this specific Miata, I believe it's for the early 90 Miatas. I modified it a little bit. Usually it comes, this wire is through this hole right there, and this plate like that so the horn can work. But for this one, for this Miata, what I did is I pried this one off. You can just fit a flathead and then just pry it off, and then we're gonna fit the horn wire through here. That way we can wire everything up. So we're gonna show you guys how to keep your horn and at the same time how to not have the ABS light. So yeah, we'll show you guys how we do that. Alright, so on this Miata, we have 4 10mm nuts on each side right here. One right there, one right here, another one back here on the same side on the bottom. So those are 10mm. You're just gonna get your ratchet, and you're just gonna take those off. Alright guys, so make sure whenever you're messing with any airbag system, always disconnect your negative battery terminal. Let it chill for a little bit. That way you're safe, that there's no voltage left over or whatever. Alright, so we took off the 4 10mm nuts. You can just twist your wheel, that way you can get to the top ones. I mean, you're gonna line it up once you're done. So then once you get those 4 off, then the airbag comes out. Pull this out, and then you have these connectors right here. One's for your horn, and the other one's for your airbag. Alright, so you take those off, and you got this little string attached right here, so you can just cut that off. Alright, so once you have everything taken off, you cut that thing. Now you have left is a 21mm nut. So I just happen to have a 1/2 inch, Milwaukee gun, but I mean, not everyone's gonna have one. So what you can do is, turn your wheel full lock, or have someone help you out and hold it, and just put a breaker bar, or really, big ratchet or whatever. That way you can get some leverage and just break it loose. I just happen to have this gun, so we're just gonna take it off. Just like that. So once you have that off, you have your wheel straight, just start banging it until it comes loose. There it is. So make sure it's in the splines, make sure it's lined up. Unthread the nut. The reason I thread it on a little bit is that way when you're banging on it on the sides or whatever, you're pulling on it, that way you don't knock yourself out. So there it is. And make sure you guys note where your clock spring's at, because you don't want that thing to get out of adjustment. So there's a little arrow right there. See, so mine was pointing straight up just because I had my wheel straight up. So make sure you guys put it back the same way. Alright, so after you cut the connector, Then you just trim this piece right here, just flush right there. It's this little piece that goes right there. So it went right there. So you just gotta cut that off. Just be careful not to cut the wires. I just cut that off. And now what we're gonna do is, there's 3 wires here. I already cut this one, I already stripped it, but I'm gonna cut this one about right there. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna butt connect this one to this one. And then that way, you know, that completes the airbag circuit, these two right here. So the red one and the gray one. And this green one right here with the red stripe through it, that's gonna be your horn button. So we'll explain that later, but first we're just gonna take care of the airbag light right now. What we did was I just used some butt connectors. Make sure you, on one, you cut it short, or not too short, but just, you know, good distance. And the other one, you know, give some room, that way you can, you know, butt connect them together. And then I had the heat shrinking ones. I mean, you don't have to have those, but I mean, that's the one I just happen to have. And then, you know, now just make sure you give them a little tug, make sure they're good. So make sure you line up your clock spring to where you had it at. There's an arrow on the other, in the inside, so you guys will be able to see that. So and then this is just gonna go tucked away like that. And then this is your horn terminal, or your horn wire, and that's gonna fit through this hole right here. You're gonna fit that. Make sure your clock spring's lined up. Make sure the NRG, there's a little dot right there on this one, and just make sure the NRG is pointing up. You just fit it through. Alright guys, so now that you have your hub on, you made sure you lined it up, the clock spring was lined up. So now what I did was, or what you're supposed to do, is fit the wire through that hole, and this is going to be your horn wire. And then we just used some female quick disconnects and crimped it on here. And I took off the little rubber seal from the backing plate that we took off the hub. I just pulled it off and I just stuck it on this one. That way you make sure it's not shorting out anywhere. And you're gonna grab the NRG quick release, the plate that attaches to here, and you're just gonna go, you know, your black wire to your black wire, and then your green wire to your yellow one. You're just gonna tuck these wires in there, just make it work, and then just bolt that up right there. Alright guys, so what we did was, so after you got these tightened up right here, make sure they're nice and snug. Don't over tighten them, because then you're just gonna round off the hex inside. So what we did was we grabbed, you know, the part that attaches to the steering wheel, the quick release part, and then we mounted it. That way we knew where straight was, and then just start putting in all these bolts to the steering wheel. And obviously, you know, if you straightened out your wheels and everything, your wheels should be straight. Alright, so now that you have your wheel straightened out and everything, you have it centered. So what you're gonna do, and this is mainly for people that have Nardi, you know, horn buttons, because this only has one terminal to it, and that's where this the horn wire is gonna go to there. But also on other horns, like the NRG horns, it has 2 prongs where you attach this one, you know, to the female end of the horn, and then you attach the female end of the wire to the male of the horn button. You plug it in, whatever it works. So what we have to do is, so when this is plugged in, when you just have one, the horn doesn't work. But as soon as you ground the ground wire to the side or to the back of the case, wherever, then you press the button, now it works. We trimmed the piece of the terminal. This part, we just cut it off, stripped the wire, fit it through the hole right there. So we took the horn apart. So we stripped the wire, so you guys can see it right there. We fed it through, and then we electrical taped it in the back real tight. And this is gonna get pinched off by the spring anyways, so it'll have the tension and it shouldn't come off. And the wire is touching the back, which is gonna be grounded out as soon as you press the horn. So you just fit it back into place. and then you're just gonna attach the spring. Alright guys, so like we told you, so we taped it to the back. You put everything back together. So you screw it back into place to where it was, to where, you know, I told you guys to unscrew it. And now you connect everything back together. Just careful not to pull out the wire from the electrical tape, and then that should be good. So now if everything, you know, is wired up and you put the screws, make sure you don't lose any screws, because I lost some and I had to go buy some new ones. So make sure you guys don't lose any. And if all goes well, horn works. So yeah, that's how to install it on a Nardi wheel, and also to get your airbag light to go away. So I'll just show you guys that part right there. So your airbag light will be on, and then as soon as everything, the circuit gets completed or whatever, it comes off. And horn works. So that's how to install an NRG quick release setup. Have your horn to work and get your airbag light to go away in the NA Miata. Alright guys, so thanks for watching.